And another attempt at crafting terrain. Did I spend a lot of money on this? Did I leave my house and buy stuff? No. No to both of those. This is a very simple crafting project, which was definitely inspired by Black Magic Craft. Once again, 2 videos of his, in fact, the cave tile system, as well as the newer Underdark terrain video. I will link both of those below. I made some mistakes with this project, but I am slowly getting better, so let's learn together, shall we? Here are the detailed plans for this tile. Now, this is kind of a common puzzle I like to use in my D&D games, so I figured it would be nice once I'm able to run an in-person game again if I had some sort of visual presentation for the scenario. What's the puzzle, you ask? Well, I'm not going to tell you because it's a secret. Players. Players are always listening and watching, trying to get any kind of advantage they can. In any case, the vast majority of the materials for this project are the 2 types of dollar store foam core, the Dollar Tree stuff, which peels off very easily, and the somewhat more common foam core where the paper does not peel off easily at all. So the project started out with me cutting and peeling the foam core on one side and then gluing it paper side down on the more sturdy foam core. Now, all of this foam core is stuff that I just had lying around in my house, so a lot of it was kind of warped and all messed up. You might assume that I'm just placing random heavy items on the foam core to get it to flatten out while the 2 pieces get glued together. However, this is a very technical Topo Chico technique for doing this, and let me assure you this is very planned out, and you're going to want to use the exact same materials at home to flatten out your own foam core. In other news, I kind of got okay at creating grid marks. Now, this is something that I've always struggled with, but, you know, just the thing of just making a little dot on each inch mark on both sides of the thing, and then connecting them with a straight line. That seems to work good and seems to make grids that are not perfect, but look really nice. What I am still struggling with is making the texture for the grid marks. What I should have done is used the knife after I made the original pen line, and then very lightly used the pen to make that line a little bit deeper. I think I overdid it with the pen in some spots, and it definitely showed. I think a sharp pencil, would have been a much better tool, but dang, I can't find my pencil sharpener. So yeah, I didn't want to sit. I should have just taken the time to whittle a sharp pencil. I should have done that. Hindsight, always 20/20. Anyways, I also used this thicker exacto blade, which actually seemed pretty good at this. You know, it wasn't making the weird markings like pressing too hard on the pen was doing. I think this did work pretty good, but I think a pencil actually is the right tool for this. This big old exacto knife did a very good job at cutting out the edges of this cave to make it a cave pattern. Now, always remember, you wanna hold the knife towards your hand and just, with all your force, just drag it towards your unprotected hand as hard as you can. That's the only proper way to do this. You have to bleed for your art. For the life of me, I just can't be safe when I do this stuff. So, I mean, look to other people how to safely do stuff. I'm always going to just do this in the most incorrect way possible. Pen sketch, and then the same thing using a completely uncontrolled blade, dragging it around willy-nilly. It's cutting out the little things. I cut through both layers, which was kind of dumb of me, because I had a different idea of what I wanted to do with the resin stuff, which didn't work out. And here's I think my biggest mistake with this. Again, I went way too hard with the dang old pen. Number 1, I should have textured the tiles first, and then did little detail stuff like this with the pen lightly. If I used a pencil, I could have more easily done this. So that was a relatively big mistake I made there. And on to making the little mounds from the Black Magic Craft Underdark video. These are interesting little things. You can build up little mounds of stuff, and I thought these would be perfect for my little cavern burrows slash miniature caves within the cave. I'm not exactly sure why I went with the tacky glue for this. I think hot glue is definitely the best thing to do, and you definitely want to use the more sturdy version of the styrofoam. After the main bits were made, I just cut out the cavern-looking hole in them. And here's another one of my big mistakes. For some reason, I assumed that just dumping PVA glue would work okay. I had no caulk. I had no other materials that would be probably better suited for this. I just had a whole bunch of PVA glue, which I probably wasted a lot of it. Most of it pooled off onto the paper towel without drying. And next up, a step that I did really well at, the texturing of the things. This step should have been before I did the little cracks, but yeah, circular fashion with a little bit of tinfoil makes great little surface patterns there. And then I added a little bit of cut up cork to certain areas to get little rock piles or piles of miscellaneous debris in little areas there, just to kind of, draw the attention of the player. And then some tacky glue, of course, right on the edges there to kind of seal off the edge and make sure that that resin pool would work, because again, I had to put cardboard backing underneath the piece again because I decided I wanted to do like proper resin. And here's that paper towel, which had dried with about 60 pounds of PVA glue on it. So yeah, with all that dry, it is time now for the classic Black Magic Craft coat. The coating of Mod Podge and paint. I could have gone a little bit blacker with this. I could have actually gone with pure black, but I was trying to go with a kind of a more muted color, so I felt like a base coat in kind of a darker gray would work okay. I wish I would have gone darker, but because it does look a lot lighter in comparison to a lot of my other dungeon terrain. And once that was dried, after a couple hours, started to do some dang old dry brushing. And here's where I realized that there was really no need for me to put so much pressure to make those little lines there. Even almost imperceptible little pieces of detail that you add to the piece will show up during the dry brushing phase. So you can see there are little bits of detail and texture that are easily showing during the dry brush, and I didn't need those big old cracks in there. It just doesn't look that great. It doesn't look that great compared to the rest of the piece. So lesson learned with that. A little bit of brown around the edges, and I am using some Reaper paint here to kind of paint a very light blue in the middle, and then I'm going to blend that with kind of a darker blue and then kind of a solid dark blue on the outside ring. And I did my best to blend this together a little bit and just give the look of a cavern pool, which generally is going to have like the light source of whoever's walking in is going to make it look brighter in the middle and then darker on the edges. So I thought that looked very nice, simple little, not even blending, just a very simple paint job. And I think it's very effective. Then I'm using a mix of green and brown wash on the little bits of debris, because depending on which of the two scenarios that I'm going to use this little piece of terrain for, those either can be rocks or perhaps something else. The washing stage actually went so nicely. I probably should have just cooked up some cheap black wash. I did end up doing some washes of green and brown on certain parts of the little piled up stone formations there. But I ended up not doing any wash on the floor, which I might want to do that in the future just so it blends in. Again, this piece is very bright and vibrant compared to my other cavern terrain. And here we have another first for me using the cheap Epoxy Clear. Just randomly, I had the Gorilla brand. Anything that says clear, because some translucent stuff is more yellowy. And this Gorilla brand stuff does very clear. It looked very nice. There were some minor bubbles, but I did a good enough job of making sure the backing was correct and mixing up and pouring it. And just like it says, 5 minutes later, boom, clear resin. So at this point, the cavern set piece is complete, and I'm pretty happy with it. I tried a bunch of new crafting techniques with this one, and while the coloration and some of the cracks were a little bit crazy, I think the pools ended up looking really nice, and I already know the next time I'm going to do this, it's going to look even better. This will fit in nicely enough with my existing cave tiles, and the next time I get some players in a room, by God, they're going to have an unpleasant surprise. I hope you enjoyed going on this crafting journey with me. As always, the 2 videos that inspired this are going to be linked below, so please take a look at those. And please let me know in the comments below if you are making any cool terrain for your table during this time period, and what projects you want to see me try to handle next.
Have a great day, and as always, thank you for watching the video.